Hey guys, Boomfish TCG here, back at it again with another video. This time we're going to be covering Kuon, a deck that was able to perform very well at BCS Toronto, not only making top 8, but making top 4. They weren't able to win it. They were on a drastically different list. They were on 46 cards. This is the list that I grabbed from Japan. Sticking with it, kudos to him. But 46 cards is pretty drastic, and I wanted to give you a good basis for something to jump in on and grab here. So, yeah, we'll get right into it. Kuon's a combo deck, so it's not necessarily the easiest thing for a lot of people to jump in on and feel comfortable playing, but it's a very strong deck. People not only are very faithful to it, so they enjoy playing it consistently through most formats, but it's something that is a consistent deck. Ever since Kuon has come out, there have been people playing this deck, and if someone's a dedicated Kuon player, chances are they haven't picked up a different deck. So, getting into it, we're starting off uniquely with a zero-cost card. So, we have Secrets of Onmyogi. So as an additional cost, you have to reveal 2 Onmyogi cards from your hand. Then you can pay X. X allows you to search your deck for a Onmyogi card that is X or less. So this is a zero-cost card, but you're paying, you're paying for it. Then shuffle your deck. If there's at least 7 costs, or 7 in your grave, so it could be spells or Onmyogi cards, you put a paper Shikigami token into your EX and give it this costs 1 less to play. X equals a number of X equals a number of your choice. I see, so that's referring to the top. Interesting. Honestly, I kind of expected it to summon the token, but this is the first time I've actually fully read this thing. So naturally, this is a Kuon deck that is fully moved over to playing the Onmyogi package that was not only very good previously, but the deck had kind of walked away from very quietly. That's because not only did this card come out, but we also have the new 5-cost Kuon that we'll get to later. But in terms of talking about search your deck for an Onmyogi follower that costs X or less, we're going to go over it. You are unable to pay 15. All right, get this out of your head. This card does not reduce its cost when it's in your deck. Okay, it's still a 15-cost card. You're not doing this one. You can get a 5-cost. Being able to tutor this out whenever you can or want to is very nice. You can get the 2-cost one. Honestly, I do not like this card, but because you need to find your Onmyogi cards in order to reveal, you just need to play it, even though that I don't like it. We have Cursecraft or Demon Caller. Honestly, a card that I was originally not a fan of while playing Kuon, but later became a huge fan of. It's honestly a really scrappy card. Very much a fan. And then unfortunately, we only have 1 Cursecrafter for now. Hopefully Bushi changes it, because I don't think Cursecrafter is the craziest thing in the world. These days, it's obviously still a really good card, but in order for Kuon to be a super relevant deck, you need 3 copies of this. It's just too inconsistent to depend on just finding the 1 copy, because even though that Kuon draws so many cards and discards so many cards, there is no direct searcher outside of literally this card, which would mean you're paying 4 mana for it, which isn't the cheapest thing in the world. Can technically be more copies of it, but if you play Cursecraft or leave it on the field and then your opponent banishes it, I mean, like, that could be super bad for you. That could be just like, that could be the end of the game realistically, but that's not what's happening. So besides that, so yeah, we're playing 3 of this, not only because it's an Onmyogi card, but it has high synergy. Then we have Insight. There has been this card that has been popular in the past, and then there was also the Owl, which I'll put on screen. So this card is 1 mana, draw a card. Quick. Sure. Fantastic. It's a spell. The other card is a 1 mana 1/1 Rush Owl that on entry discards a card and you draw. I think it might be a spell. And then when it dies, it does the same effect. in this deck, because we're trying to do more Onmyogi stuff, it's more valuable for us to directly put a spell in the grave. But both have been popular in the past. It's usually a flex, but I think because of the Onmyogi turn, this might be the better option. Yep. And then we have Rapid Fire. It's a simple 1 mana for 2 damage to ping, and it has upside. That's the reason we're not playing the Snipes. That's the reason we're not playing the Uma card, blah, 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 all of those others. Rapid Fire, when it's the 3rd one, deals a little bit more damage, and when it's the 5th, or when it's the 6th one, because if there's 5 in the grave, you deal 4 damage to the enemy leader. That's really nice damage for 1, right? That's 1 mana, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, and 4 to the enemy leader. You would pay that any day of the week, I'm going to be honest. So, in a deck like Kuon with its massive burst turns, you'd perfectly happy with playing this card. And having it as a cheap spell is just good when you're trying to dump so many. Verdict Discovery was a card that came out in set 8 that Kuon very much enjoyed, very much appreciated. And yeah, it's perfect. 2 mana, it's a quick, so you can kind of threaten a quick spell that might be able to damage a follower. Maybe your opponent has to play a little bit more careful. If you don't have that and you're not trying to use that mana immediately, you can instead pay 2 to draw 2 and discard. What can I say? That's a fantastic effect. It's basically exactly what you needed. This is great. Can't say anything besides that. It's fantastic. Trail of Light. When this card is discarded, draw a card. Pay it, draw. We've covered this card before. It's great in discard strategies, and this is certainly one of those. So it's fantastic. Shikigami Summons is a card that I misread so many times when it originally came out, even though it has 2 lines. That's what being a Yu-Gi-Oh player does to you folks. So it's 2 mana, summon a paper Shikigami token. If there's at least 7 spells and Onmyogi cards in your cemetery, you draw a card. I mean, isn't that what this deck's trying to do? What is an Onmyogi? What does a paper Shikigami token do? So it's a 2 mana 2/2, and when it leaves, you draw a card and discard. Important to point out that if that card was the opposite way around, of discarding and then drawing, these tokens would be a lot worse. But we really like the fact that we get to draw first, CDV options, and then discard. We always want more. But it's another way of getting rid of Trail of Light, making us happy. So yeah, honestly, I'm a bit disappointed that we're not playing 3 of this, because it's incredible. But for some reason, it's not there. It's still an Onmyogi card, so I don't really have the ability to tell you why, but that's just a real Kuon heads kind of decision right there. We have Surefire Bullet or Pulse Fire Assault. This is just the U. They're flexing. So for 2 mana, you get to ping enemy follower for 3. When this originally came out, and I think in like set 3 or 4, can't quite tell you when, this was like the staple to end all staples. It was in pretty much most decks. These days it's mostly just in Kuon, and sometimes you can see a flex in like Lashena or something like that. But it's still really good. 4 damage still does a lot, and it's a quick. Yeah, nothing to complain about here. Seeing 3 of it just means that we are in a format that really benefits from that kind of effect, and you can expect it up against a Kuon player. There's plenty of other 2-cost spells that they could be playing, but this is certainly not a bad one. It's just a choice, and you can make that choice too if you want. You have Traditional Sorcerer. Again, not my favorite card in the world, because in a pinch, if you have a bad hand, or if you draw this when you do not have 7 spells, this card does literally nothing. But these days, it won't, because you need the Onmyogi cards. So that's different. Keep that in mind. Yeah, but you can understand my hesitation. There was a time when Kuon originally came out, people were floating between either playing 2 of this or 1 of this. But And I preferred 1, and I really didn't regret it all that much. But yeah, these days that's not really the case, it seems. That finishes off the 2 cost cards. Moving on, we only have 2 3 cost cards. So we have Demon Caller, pretty simple. So whenever Shikigami follower is put onto the field, give it +1 attack and rush. So that means if this thing sticks around or in conjunction with this Evo effect, it allows you to crash your paper Shikigami tokens in the same turn you bring them out, so you can cycle your deck faster. So that is very, very good. Chances are you're going to get your initial value out of Demon Caller, but your opponent would be foolish to allow this to stay on your side of the field. Don't get too attached to him, folks. But yeah, when you Evo, he summons a paper Shikigami, so he kind of fuels your engine in a unique way, which is quite nice. Then we have Story of a Lifetime. This is a very good card, not only in Omen Mages or regular Mages, but when you're adding 2 spells of your choice and dumping 2 spells of your choice, there is no point of that you do not feel incredibly happy. There is not, in fact, there's not a single moment that you do not love what this card does. The only thing that would be a little bit hopeful is that it was originally going to be a quick, but that would be kind of broken. So we have to say where we are. Yeah, just take a look at the top 4. From among them, reveal 2, add them, and then bury the rest. You're never going to have a Yuke on the field in order to recover that 1 play point, but c'est la vie. Moving on, we have our 1 Curse Crafter. We feel bad for him. Take my boy out of the jail. Give him freedom. Curse Crafter to 3, 4 data 1. Stand by that till the day I die. So, 4 mana 2/2. When he comes out, he summons a paper Shikigami token. But unlike Demon Caller, that one doesn't have rush. How do we get rid of him? Boomfish, let me tell you. You have a once per turn effect where you can bury the paper Shikigami follower, or a Shikigami. Most of the time it's going to be the paper one, to deal 4 damage to an enemy follower on the field. For the rest of this card's turn, or for the rest of the turn, this card's activated effect, except its Evo effect, can't be activated. So simply saying, no matter if you Evo this card or not, that Evo effect, you cannot spam it during the same turn. But you can still Evo it and then also use the Evo effect. But yeah, so basically 4 mana 2/2, summon a token, kill that token, and then deal 4 damage to something. All of that is what you want. So yeah, that's pretty incredible. Then moving on to its Evo, you simply select an enemy follower, deal 2, and if you have 7 spells and Onmyogi cards, so like and or, in your cemetery, you deal 4 instead. So in the best case scenario, you're dealing 4 and 4. In the worst case, you're dealing 2 and 4. And since you evoed this, you can rush into another thing that you needed to clear. So a lot of the times, this will help you regain your tempo. And the more times you're able to do this, if we had 3, but this deck can recycle him, the more times you're able to get a hold of the game, push yourself into the late game where the deck excels, and then probably just kill your opponent no matter what life total they're at. So yeah, really, really good. Moving on from that, we have our beautiful Kuon. I don't even know. Wu Jing Master. Couldn't tell you. When playing this card, you can reveal 2 Onmyogi cards from your hand, and this card costs 1 less to play. So again, that's the value of having just even random Onmyogi cards in your deck. So on summon, without meeting the condition, this card simply, you draw, discard, and then you can select an Onmyogi follower from your cemetery that costs 4 or less and summon it. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 options here. Tell me if they're good. If you're meeting the condition, so if you have the 7, cycling back a traditional sorcerer, summoning a token that has ward, and gaining 2 life. Pretty decent. Let's see what else we're going shopping for. that's pretty nice. But it does kind of suck that we only have one. But if we had three, it would be kind of crazy. Interesting. You can bring back Demon Caller, but you need to do more with him. You need to be able to evo him in the same turn to make it like useful. So not really the one that you care about. It's the traditional sorcerer and the curse crafter that we're here for. And then it also has a separate effect where if you meet the condition, right? If you have the seven spells or Onmyogis, you may summon. So this is a, I believe, an advanced Evo, but this is one of the unique ones. I think the only one that doesn't actually remove your card off the field when you do it. So yeah, it's very strange to think that's an Evo, but it doesn't actually involve Kuon whatsoever. Like the card's still there. You may summon a noble Shikigami from your Evo. If any of you guys played Worlds Beyond, you can thank the Lord that this thing's not actually a 10/10. It's a 10 cost 5/5. That has ward. It does not take ability damage, and when it comes out, it burns the board for 5 and your opponent for 5. We can all collectively breathe a sigh of relief that we do not have to stare down a 10/10 board with the exact same effect. But, you know, we're here. And also, you know, it would have varied stats anyways, but usually a 10/10. Anywho, yeah, they're playing 3 of this. As you can see, we're playing 3, 3, and 3 in our Evo because Kuon just really doesn't care. Even though that some of the card arts in this might have changed, I wanted to find the exact one that the Japanese player was putting in his Evo deck because the last card in your Evo deck literally doesn't matter whatsoever. This guy pulled a U, thought it was really beautiful because it's very nice card art, and was like, yeah, it's going to be my 10. This is your meme card, folks. If you want to be funny, if you have a funny U that you can play, I would absolutely throw it in here just to be a little jokester. But you definitely don't have to. But yeah, there's not even another useful one you could possibly put in your deck. Yeah, so yeah, it's really good. You play 3 because you have the space. It's fine. This is part of your preparing to be able to burst your opponent. It gives Kuon a nice mid game and something that you can actually do as a part of the dedicated Kuon strategy. Can't cycle itself from the grave, but like, who cares? So it's very nice. D shift. When Kuon initially came out, people were trying to be greedy as all get out, trying to play 3 D shifts. I can tell you from experience that although that is powerful, and you lack the way of directly grabbing D shift, and right now you also lack a way of directly grabbing Kuon as well. So sometimes, even though that you're cycling through your entire deck, you will not be able to consistently find these cards, and sometimes you'll really regret mulliganing them away. Like if you see a Kuon early, that's usually a good keep. If you see 2 Kuons early, that's usually really bad. But thankfully, we have a few ways of shuffling our deck, so that's quite nice. And with Sorcery or Story of a Lifetime, you're able to grab these cards when you need them, when you're trying to prepare for the endgame. But the worst thing possible you could have in your opening hand is 2 D shifts, and that's why we can't play 3 of this. 2 D shifts in your opening hand is unplayable because realistically you only need one of them to win the game. Having multiple Kuons in your hand, however, is much more flexible. This card can reduce its cost all the way down to 0. And in that instance, you know, you're going to want to play both of your Kuons in the same turn. But if you're before that and you're in a pressured situation, 1 Kuon is perfectly fine. If you're paying 3 mana for a single Kuon to try and stabilize the board, who cares? You can fling that Celestial Shikigami into something and maybe save yourself, and then do something else with the rest of your mana. But that's the reason you're seeing this ratio of 2 D shifts and 3 Kuons. It slowly got established that that's what you were trying to do. But early D shift decks were playing, I think, 3 D shifts because you needed it with the Giants. But yeah, you don't need that. And then finally, you have Uh, Kuon. So Kuon is a 15 cost card, but we're never paying full price. This is Rune, people. This card costs one less to play for every spell and Onmyogi card in your cemetery. So the entire deck synergizes with this card. And that's always what every Kuon deck does. But when you don't have to play regular cards, like regular followers, to try and do your business, you can just play Onmyogi ones, you're very happy. If there's no Celestial Shikigami on your field, you can summon one. And then you can activate its effect, tap 2 Shikigami followers, or tap itself and then select 2 Shikigami followers and give them Storm. There is a unique play for more advanced Kuon players when you are trying to punch through a ward that your opponent has put up. That's sometimes an issue for Kuon in order to do their big flashy damage combos. Because even one ward that is kind of beefy, let's say it has 4 health, could be a bit of a pain. Let's say in this instance, we're gonna play a little bit of pretend here. We're gonna say that your Kuon is on the field and your opponent has a 5/4 ward, a perfect scenario. You're gonna play Kuon, tap itself to give that Celestial Shikigami follower Storm, and then you're going to fling it into the ward. It's no longer there. Now, if you have a second copy of your Kuon in your hand, you've not only removed your Celestial Shikigami off the field, but you've also cleared your opponent's ward. So now you can hit them in the face for damage. You play your second Kuon, summon that second Celestial Shikigami, tap the second Kuon in order to give your newly spawned Celestial Shikigami token Storm, hit them in the face for Storm. That's pretty good. But then you might be thinking, I was able to do that all for free, but what about the rest of my turn? Why am I doing this big thing? Well, in that instance, you have summoned a 5/5, a 5/5, and a 4/5. You've now dealt 4 damage to your opponent's face. So 4. Now where do we go from there? Let's figure that out. We then can activate a D shift by reducing its cost down to 7. So if you really high roll your opponent, or not even a high roll sometimes, like if you just have a really good hand, or like you see nice draws, whatever, like this doesn't have to be the craziest thing. But obviously the flashiest version of Kuon is doing this on turn 7. So when playing this card, you can banish 10 spells in your cemetery. This card costs 7 less to play. Then you take another turn after this. So we have 14 stats on our board. We've dealt 4 damage to our opponent's face. Cool. Then we skip their opponent's turn. We start our next turn. And then we hit them for 5, 5, and 4. That's 18 damage total. All off of this combo alone. But if we weren't able to clear that ward, all of a sudden, the only amount of damage we're doing this at this point is 5 or 10. And 10 in total, we weren't able to hit them in the face for Storm, period. Right? If you slam both Kuons down at the same time and you're just like, okay, your opponent is not going to let you take that back because you're playing a degenerate deck. And then you're also going to probably lose the game because you go from dealing 18 damage all the way down to 10. And that's definitely a difference maker. So ordering matters a lot in this deck. So a lot of the reason why so many Kuon players stick with this deck is it's a big learning process. It's very rewarding for them to do so. But more than anything, it's something that is quite fun for you, not for your opponent. It's very uninteractive. If you like that kind of idea, sure. I like my uninteractiveness when it comes in raw stats and it's an Omen Mage follower that's a 6/6 that I got to play for free. In some cases, some other people like being able to play a 5/5 that summons a 4/5 for 0 mana and then skipping their opponent's turn and killing them. That happens a little bit late, and sometimes Kuon can be a bit clunky, but it's very rewarding to play. I'm going to give Kuon a 4 out of 5. It definitely got its respect for becoming, or for getting top 4 at BCS Toronto. I don't think people were preparing for it, and that guy definitely took advantage of that. It's definitely suffering from missing that Curse Crafter, but that doesn't mean it's a soft deck. It's still pretty damn good. So keep an eye out for Kuon. And yeah, that's 4 Boomfish out of 5. I'll catch you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in. Peace.